In this video, we are going to be doing a full, complete tutorial of a budget spreadsheet that works inside of Google Sheets and Excel. You can actually download it as a CSV file and even use it in Numbers if you have a Mac. So if you want to budget and budget right this year, let's get started. Hey, I'm Justine, your host of the Debt Free Millennials channel. Here we talk about all ways to help you crush debt, achieve financial confidence that leads to more fun and fewer payments. So if you are new here, every year I create a free budgeting template. It's basically the same template that I've used since 2012 to pay off more than $35,000 in student loan debt and just less than 2.5 years on a $37,000 income. And since then, I just continue to improve upon the sheet because it's worked so well for me, and I know it's going to work so well for you. If you would like to access this free template, you can head over to debtfreemillennials.com/toolkit, enter your name and email address, and then I will send you a link to the Google spreadsheet. It'll also land you on my newsletter list so that you can continue to get money tips and financial updates from me to help you with your financial journey. Once you click on that link inside of your inbox, once you are confirmed, you will actually be led to a Google Drive folder in which you can access the Google Sheet document. Let's go ahead and hop into that, and I'll show you how you can access it. Once you open the Google Sheet, you're gonna be led to this screen. This is the first page. You actually have 4 different sheets within this template to work with. So the first sheet is all about getting you to read the instructions. So I've included steps 1 through 8, which we will go over in just a second. You cannot edit the master because the master is for everybody. If you start editing this, then everybody's gonna see your numbers, and we don't want that. So what you're going to do, if you get some sort of like request to edit access, don't do that. Instead, you're going to go to File, Make a Copy, and then you're going to label this like, you know, Justine's 2025 budget, whatever you want. And then you save it to your own folder. If you have a Gmail or a Google account, this is how you do that. If you do not have a Google account or you don't have a Gmail, then what you're going to do is you're going to go File, Download, and download as a Microsoft Excel file. If you don't have Excel, you can download as a CSV file, and then you can open that using Numbers if you have a Mac and you want to try it out that way. So there's actually 3 different versions of how you can access this toolkit. I personally like using Google Sheets because I can access Sheets from my phone, and when I'm on the go, I can access my budget if I need to check my numbers and see how my spending is going while I'm out and about. That's how to download it. The instructions are right here so that if you forget or rewatch this video on how to download and start creating a copy that you can edit. And the way that this works is I have 3 sheets. We have the financial inventory sheet, the yearly glance sheet, so this is your yearly budget, and then we have your blank monthly budget template, which is what you're primarily going to use. But we're actually going to start with the financial inventory, which is step 1. You're going to fill out all of your financial accounts as well as your monthly income and expenses. So your financial inventory is just basically laying all of your finances out on the virtual table, if you will. We're going to be taking a look at how much savings, debt, investments, assets, all of that good stuff. What you're gonna do is you're gonna start with this top table. Might seem a little daunting, but this is important. What you're going to do is you're going to go back through your bank account statements, your credit card statements, and you're going to fill in as much as you know. So for income, you'll want to obviously open up your checking account and take a look at how much income you actually brought in over the last 6 months. If 6 months feels like a little too exhaustive for you, let's take a look at the last 3 months, and at least let's get an average of that. If you see this little div error right here, that's because we haven't filled it out yet. As you fill out this sheet, let's say you made $5,000, you made $3,000 one month, 5,000 again. I don't know what it is for you. It's going to take an average of that. We want to know averages so that we can plug that into our monthly budget template. Next, you'll want to record any fixed expenses. Fixed expenses are anything that you know are regular, reoccurring monthly expenses. Typically, this includes rent or a mortgage payment, utilities, transportation costs, cell phone, internet, and groceries. Not eating out food, but food that you're actually buying at a grocery store, because we know we're going to be buying that all the time. This is where it could get a little tedious for you, but I think it's important because we want to figure out exactly how much we're netting at the end of it. Alternatively, I guess you could fill out your monthly budget and kind of backfill. If you wanted to do the monthly budget template and backfill like the last 3 to 6 months, you certainly could. But let's just get a ballpark here so that we know exactly how much money is coming in and going out. Discretionary expenses. This includes all of the fun stuff: entertainment, clothing, shopping, restaurants, eating out, all of those good things. This does not include savings, because I want to see exactly, or your debt payments, because I want to see exactly how much money is left over after spending. That's the point of this table. The next table is the savings table. So what you're going to do is you are going to list out all of your savings accounts. Maybe you have an emergency fund, maybe you have a vacation fund, maybe you have a baby fund, whatever it may be. And then you're going to list what bank name it might be with. So Ally Bank, Capital One, whatever. You're going to list out your current balances. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're starting from zero, whatever it may be, but you have the account opened. And then you're going to list, is this a traditional savings account? Is this a high yield savings account? You can add that right here. And then what is the interest rate that you're currently earning on it? I think Ally just posted 3.85% interest earned on their high yield savings accounts. And then any notes about whether or not we need to figure out what to do with this particular fund. Then you're going to go down to debt and you're going to list all of your debts. So if you have federal student loans, we'll write that in there. If you have maybe a credit card and it's with Discover, maybe this one is with Nelnet, your current outstanding balance. Maybe you have close to the amount that I had when I was working on my student loan debt. Maybe you have $3,500 in credit card debt with Discover. You're going to list any of the minimum monthly payments that are due, and then what date it's due on, the 4th of every month, whatever, and then your interest rate. 28.99% actually is what a lot of people have. And then any notes. Maybe it's 0% and it's interest free until 2028. I don't know. So this is what you can start filling in. Next is investments. So we want to know if we're working with a 401k. Maybe you have a Roth IRA. Maybe you have a 529 plan for a child. You're going to list the company. Is it with Fidelity, Vanguard, somebody else? And then what is the amount balance in there? And then what is the type of fund? So you can hit this drop down menu, and I've given you a couple of different options here. Index funds, mutual funds, is it a mix of a couple of different things? What's your rate of return? That's expressed in a percentage rate. How much are you actually earning in this account? Are there any fees involved? Are there any notes? Hey, this is with an old employer and I need to think about transferring that over to my new employer this year. The next table is the assets table. So assets are anything of value. Typically this is a house or a car, but it could also include things like art, jewelry, maybe really expensive furniture. I'm not sure. So you're going to add it here. You're going to list what you paid for it and what's the current market value and any notes. As you're filling this in, you're going to see up in the upper right hand corner this net worth table. Start to tally this up. Assets are all of the things that you own minus liabilities, all the things that you owe, equals your net worth. Assets minus liabilities equals your net worth in simplest terms. This is just to give you an idea of where you're at financially for everything that you have. That's financial inventory, and that's going to inform your financial goals for the year. So if we go back to the guide, the second step, so that was step 1. Step 2 is to fill out the yearly glance sheet. You're going to record an estimate of what you think you spend on in each category. You can add more rows for more expenses as you need them. So here I've actually already pre-filled some of this stuff for you to show you what I mean. The first table up at the top is your debt table. So you're gonna list out all of your debts. Now, you could include your mortgage payment up here. Just don't duplicate it down here because then it's gonna count it twice. So either include the mortgage payment here and just forget about it up at the debt table, especially if you're not interested in paying off your mortgage early. I would say this is the way to go. This is how I have mine set up. But if you do want to pay off your mortgage early, then I would list it up here and leave all your budgeted items as such, and then just delete this one out. So again, same thing, you're going to do monthly payment. If the cell has a formula in it, like this one does, the yearly payment, do not mess with it unless you want to mess with the cells and the formulas. I did that on purpose so that you wouldn't have to figure out what the yearly payment is on $125 monthly, minimum monthly Discover card payment. So if this was like $245, then you're going to see how that yearly payment changes to you're spending $2,900 on credit card payments. So you'll also see a percentage of your annual budget here. List the total outstanding balance. Again, this has a formula in it, so do not change that. And then what is the interest rate of that particular debt? You're gonna see also your total monthly income and total monthly expenses. This is where you do change things. I currently have it set at $6,700, but maybe you make $4,000. And now we've got to adjust all of these things. Ideally, you want your net as close to zero as possible, meaning every dollar has a place in a category and a direction to go. If you get a negative number, it means you're overspending someplace, and that's an area of focus that we need to work on. If you have a positive number, it means you're saving and that we have the opportunity to move that money to a direction of one of your financial goals. So I'm going to keep it as is just to keep this nice and simple. So as I was filling this in, let's say, hypothetically, you're bringing in $6,700. What I like to do is break down my budget into 4 major categories. The first one is fixed. Fixed, we kind of briefly discussed with financial inventory. These are the things that you have to pay for. Fixed expenses, they typically don't change dollar amounts from month to month. This includes rent, mortgage, your utilities, cell phone bill, insurance. I put electricity here, water, gas was combined. If you don't want that combined, then all you have to do is highlight the row like this. So I just clicked on the row, the number, double tap or right click, and then insert one row above. And then I can make this, natural gas, let's call it. And so instead of water being $50, let's call this $25. We'll just call this water. This is $25. And then all of these have a formula in it. So if you want to just copy the formula, all you have to do is highlight the one above it. In the bottom right hand corner, you're just going to click and drag to highlight like that. Merge these cells, make them nice and pretty, and like that. So it's going to show a 0% here because $25 out of an annual budget that's bringing in yearly $80,000 is like a drop in the bucket. But you're going to see how this chart over on the right hand side actually has changed just a teensy bit. So this chart shows you how you've spent your money in the year. We're going to see that almost 30% is going towards a rent or a mortgage payment. Almost 21% is going towards total debt payments. This chart just gives you a visual breakdown of how you're spending your money and figuring out, okay, I'm spending 6% on groceries and toiletries. I want to decrease that somehow. So you can make those choices and decisions based off of these visuals here. So that's fixed. Next is fun. Fun is all that discretionary spending we talked about. Everything after your fixed expenses are taken care of. Restaurant, shopping, clothing, haircut, gifts, pocket money, which is just cash from an ATM if you still do that. I mean, do you? Do you? Sometimes we do. Fun money, which I call anything is like entertainment. I put baseball games, Topgolf, Starbucks, dive bars. That's kind of my thing that I like to spend fun money on. Movies, video games. I mean, it could be whatever. And I like to lump that into fun money because if I put a line item for movies, video games, Starbucks, it just gets cluttered. It gets to be too much. So I just put it all into one category. So again, instead of listing out all of your individual subscriptions, I just lumped it into one. Certainly you could list them out one by one, and then maybe having a list of like 6 to 8 subscriptions would get you to think differently about how much you're spending on subscriptions in the year. So if this was just $10, you only have one subscription, let's be honest, we probably are spending a lot more than that. So I could just change this and be like, this is 110. That's probably more realistic, right? So you'll want to record everything that is discretionary spending in the fun category. The third section is what I call fudge, as in like, oh fudge, from A Christmas Story with Ralphie, one of my favorite Christmas movies. So this is kind of your miscellaneous, your buffer category. I don't know what I'm spending money on. It doesn't have a home. It doesn't have a category. Let's put it under miscellaneous. I typically like to leave miscellaneous as a smaller number. If you're finding that you're spending hundreds of dollars in this category, that means that it needs to find a home in your budget under the fixed or fun or future. Which brings me to the next point, future. Your future category are all of your savings goals, including things like an emergency fund, down payment, vacation fund, a new car fund, a new baby fund, maybe some outside investing that you're doing outside of a 401k or any kind of employer-sponsored retirement plan. Outside investing would include things like we're investing in individual stocks using Robinhood, Stash Acorn. We are investing after-tax dollars with a Roth IRA or 529 plan. That's what I mean by outside investing, and that definitely could live under the future category here. If you don't see it, again, just highlight the row, insert one row above, and then you're going to put outside investing. And then you're going to start adding things to it, okay? This grayed out section is just a reflection of the total debt payments that you made up here at the top. Do not mess with this gray area. In fact, leave it alone. Don't mess with it. It's got formulas in it. And the reason why I added it down here is in order to make sure this chart is accurate. Google Sheets likes to have all of their percentages listed together nice and neat in one column. So that's a big difference from last year's template to this year. I made this a little bit more succinct so that this chart was showing up accurately. This is the yearly glance budget so that you can see exactly how much you're spending in each of these categories in a year. The next part of this tutorial is everything to do with your monthly budget. So steps 3 through 8 is figuring out how to put your monthly budget together. So we're gonna start with recording what we know first. And if you don't know how much you're spending in a particular category, we're gonna do a spending audit, which is step 4. A spending audit for any category that you want to put inside of your budget is basically taking an average of the last 3 months of spending for that particular category. This means that you're going to do kind of a find and search tool either on your bank account or inside of your credit card account and figure out, okay, how much am I spending on groceries, for example. So you're gonna search for groceries or search for your retailer's name that you typically frequent for groceries, and you're gonna start adding that up and putting that into a spending audit and getting an average of that. When you get an average of spending for a particular category, it makes your budget much more realistic than guessing how much you're spending, right? Like, I think I spend, $3 $300 on restaurants when really you're spending $700 on restaurants. We need to figure that out, and that means going into our financial accounts and taking a look at how much we're realistically spending in the last 3 months. Next, you're going to add in any of your monthly debt payments, which we'll go over. And then at the end of each month, add up all your income and expenses and put that into your spreadsheet. And then you'll start planning for next month's budget, being aware of any one-time expenses that are happening in the month, such as a birthday or an upcoming vacation or a holiday. And then what I like to do is create a new budget for each month by duplicating the previous month's budget. Zero out the numbers for the actual spending. This will save you a lot of time. So I've got some tips for success here, but what I want to do is I want to go over to this blank template and show you how it works. So same setup as before, all of your debts are listed up at the top. The D is due date, when it's due. What I like to do here is also, I just take out monthly budget, or I add in, okay, this is September monthly budget. That way I know, and then I'm going to relabel this as September, right? And then you're going to create, once you have this all filled out, then you're going to create by clicking on this arrow and create a new one by duplicating it. And then once you duplicate that sheet over, you're going to label it October, and then you'll have a nice file with every single month's budget listed inside this one file, which makes it really easy to go backwards and see in time at the end of the year, okay, how did I spend actually month to month? So for September, let's call it, for example, January, July, I don't care what it is. You're gonna label it as such, add all of your debts in here. So, you know, whether it's Discover, Chase, student loans, whatever, and then you're going to list the due date. Is this due on the 15th every month? We want to know that so that we can plan accordingly as we get our paychecks. You're going to record the minimum monthly payment, what you actually paid for that particular card. Maybe it was above the minimum, maybe you didn't make the minimum. You're going to record that there, and then you're going to record the interest rate and the total debt owed. Having the debt top of mind is really going to help you figure out your budget so that you can get rid of the debt. The table over in the upper right hand corner is where all of your total monthly income lives. So under the planned column, you're going to actually record an estimate, what you think you're going to bring in. This is really easy for my salaried people because your paychecks are typically the same. Not so easy for those who are on commission or tipped base or self-employed like myself. Your income can fluctuate from month to month, right? We're going to take an average of what you are bringing home each month as a way to plan for your budget. Alternatively, you can also budget for what you know is your lowest income month. So if you fluctuate and you're in sales and you can have a $20,000 month, or you can have, I don't know, an $8,000 month, you're gonna record it for the lowest month. $8,000. I mean, you got to be a pretty good salesperson to bring in $8K in income. I don't care what it is, $3,000, $5,000. So you're going to add in all of that under plan. I estimate between me and my partner, we're bringing in $10,000, okay? We always want to budget including our partner, our spouse, whoever is living with us and doing life with us also gets included inside of the budget. When you want to record in the actual column is recording any actual pay stubs or paychecks or income deposits, transfers as they occur in the month. What I like to do is hit the equal sign, and then I'll hit paycheck number 1, paycheck number 2, paycheck number 3, and paycheck number 4, let's call it. All right, 2 people, 2 paychecks per. We actually made $11,800 in the month, not 10. So that could give us an idea of how we could plan out our budget for next month. Now for the actual budgeted items inside of your spreadsheet, we're going to plan out, okay, I'm planning on spending $1,200 in our mortgage payment. I'm planning on spending $80 in the cell phone, $70 in internet, so on and so forth. This is what we think is going to pop up. Things like electricity, water, natural gas, those things, we can do a spending audit to see what is the average of these types of bills. And so I'm going to plan on forecasting for the average here. Maybe it's $150. When you actually get that bill and pay for it, and again, use the DD column to say, okay, this is due on the 20th, we actually only owed $95 in electricity, then you're gonna record that in the actual column. These are automatically going to get added to total monthly expenses up here in this right-hand table. So again, if you see a formula inside, do not mess with the formula unless you want to mess with the budget template. I don't think you do. And then you're going to see this nice net amount start to kind of reduce as you're adding things in. So you're going to add in what you're planning on spending for each of these things. If there's a category that's missing, again, add it to your budget spreadsheet, add a row, which you just highlight, and then you're gonna have all of those core subcategories of your budget. Again, the debt table is grayed out here just because I wanted to show you a percentage of how this is all shaping up for your monthly budget. Okay, let's go over sinking funds real quick. So a sinking fund is basically ongoing monthly savings for a particular category. So when you spend from a sinking fund, you can record it here, and then as you have a running total, if you have money that's left over in a particular category at the end of the month, or you want to continue saving for something month over month, this works really well for irregular subscriptions or payments throughout the year. So like I do my premium for my car insurance every 6 months, but I save for it monthly. So I could do car insurance, maybe I'm saving $60 every single month. Even though I'm not spending in September on car insurance, I'm going to record that I actually saved $60 on car insurance, and then that's going to update my running total. If you see these grayed out numbers here, that's where I've included a sinking fund. Sinking funds work really well for things like shopping, clothing, haircuts. You're probably not getting a haircut every single month, but I know I get mine cut every 4 months, and every 4 months it's roughly $60. So let's say 60 divided by 4. So I need to be saving $15. $15 gets saved. When I go to actually spend money from a particular sinking fund, I'm going to record it from here. Spent from sinking funds, let's say it was $15. And then what I'm gonna do here is I am going to then transfer that money. Typically when I'm saving money for a sinking fund, I'm moving it from my checking account to a savings account. But what I want to do is when I transfer it back, it's going to be marked as total income from sinking funds. So then I'm just going to add it here under actual as income. Even though it's a transfer, I'm going to mark it as income so that I can see that it did not affect my budget, right? $15. And now I've got $0 left in this particular sinking fund. That's how sinking funds work in this nice little spreadsheet. Let's move over to the pre-tax paycheck contributions. So if you are interested in recording how much money the government is taking from your paycheck, this is a great way to do it and get yourself all ticked off. But pre-tax paycheck contributions are separate from your budget because these are things that are taken out of your check before you receive the check, right? So any of your deductions you can get from your last pay stub. So let's say you have a health savings account, you're contributing $60 per paycheck. Per month, that's $120. You're gonna get the year-to-date contributions from your pay stub. Maybe you're paying for disability insurance and that's $20. Maybe you're paying for dental insurance and oh my God, it's $70. You're gonna continue to record things. Retirement is the 401k contributions or 403b. So this is where you can include, all right, I'm putting $300 aside for my 401k. This gives you an idea of how mini deductions are taken from your paycheck, so that when you go to things like open enrollment for health insurance and you figured out you're paying $450, $900 in the month, you might want to consider switching plans. Next up is the notes section. I noticed some of my one-on-one coaching clients were adding notes to their budget spreadsheet, so I said, why not include this? So at the start of the month, maybe you want to be thinking, okay, start of December, I really need to increase my Christmas budget for December, right? I have my mom's birthday. We need to start looking at 529 plans, whatever it may be. At the end of the month, you can record any notes of challenges, obstacles, things that maybe were unexpected, you know, got a flat tire, pulled from emergency fund. And then next month, what are we going to do for next month? Okay, so that's just a way to use the notes section just to give you an idea of where to put your thoughts, where to record maybe some of your financial goals that you're thinking about, and adding it all into your monthly budget template. Once this is all filled out and you've recorded all of your transactions for the month, then you can start making plans and making some decisions on how you want to better your finances for the next month. The tips for success are kind of the things that I've already explained. So just an explanation of some of the columns, what some of the titles mean, so that you can go over. Again, if you are confused about sinking funds, or you're like, I don't even want to use sinking funds, that's just just ignore them, because they're not going to mess with your actual template. You can just use planned and actual, and that would save you plenty of time. I worked really hard to just make this a little bit more simplified and easier to interpret your financial numbers inside of this Google Sheet for this year. So if you're interested in bettering your finances, doing it with a free tool that works inside of Google Sheets, Excel, Numbers, one of those three apps, then you can download my free budget toolkit linked below, or head over to debtfreemillennials.com/toolkit to sign up for free. Let me know in the comments how you are working this, and I will catch you in the next one.